Welcome to the Lightseed activation number 1, the sanctuary of your heart, Hatun Sonqo, and the universal heart within. In this Medicine Powers of Creation journey, the heart gateway represents the living center of the mesa. These teachings are inspired by both the Pachacuti Mesa lineage and our direct communions with Source. They honor the lineage and yet are fully Robin and I's gnosis and shamanic understanding of the nature of reality. Your heart is the temple of your soul. There is a living intelligence within your heart that already knows the way. It is the gateway between the infinite source love of creation, the eternal presence of your soul, and your wild human experience. This divine gateway within is what the Andean traditions call Hatun Sonqo, the universal heart. Take a breath and feel your own heart space. Beneath the noise of daily life and the endless to-do lists, there is a quiet field of compassion, wisdom, belonging, and a still quiet voice that is always present. Once you have allowed your overstimulated mind to truly find amnesty in the heart center, you will experience this. Perhaps just for a few moments, hours, or even a whole day. The conditioned mind returns, yet your identification with it releases little by little, heart encounter by heart encounter. Attuning to Hatun Sonqo reminds you that the heart is not merely an organ within the body. It is a gateway of communion and perception into the living field of infinite divine source love that connects all beings. It is simple and profound. The heart is the meeting place between the human and the divine. The Hatun Sonqo is the access point to the universal field of love that unites all existence. When we open our hearts to the universal heart, we begin to feel and perceive the deeper truth that all beings belong and are interconnected. Interbeing is no longer an idea, but instead a lived and intimately known state of being. The heart is far more than an organ. It is a sacred seat of true perception. Through the awakened heart, we sense, feel, and envision the subtle language of life itself. The wisdom of the mountains, the quiet intelligence of the forests, the guidance of the ancestors, and the loving presence of the earth. The heart allows us to feel the unity that the overstimulated mind cannot grasp. For the mind operates through polarity, while the heart operates through unity. The the heart has been seen by many earth-honoring traditions from around the world as the place of unified vision and clear seeing. An awakened heart is our natural human state before being overwhelmed as little ones by inherited conditionings of fear and taught the illusions of separation. As we reawaken to our essential nature and remember our true self through the heart, something profound begins to change within our experience of life. The boundaries that once seemed to separate us from others begin to soften. Compassion arises naturally, and we recognize that every being we encounter is walking their own sacred path of belonging and becoming. The awakened heart restores our capacity to meet life with tenderness, courage, and humility. And most importantly, to envision our lives and create beyond oppositional duality. Within Robin and I's deep dive into the ceremonial arts, the sacred plant teachers have revealed that the heart is a bridge between the divine, our invincible soul, and our lives in this world, the Kaipacha. Restoring connection to the inner space of our heart is the most important thing we can each do on the path of healing. It is through the heart that the invincible innocence and innate wisdom of the soul expresses its virtues into human life. When we live from the heart, our actions become aligned with love, wisdom, service, and the greater harmony of the living universe. It's so simple. Everyone knows this, yet living from the heart is radical and rebellious in these times. Those who walk the path of the heart gradually discover that love itself is a transformational force. True love is wise and fierce. It does not suffer fools and will not sit by while harm is taking place. This expression of love asks that we heal all that we have taken to be love, yet never was love. Like all of our codependent programming, insecurities, and virtue signaling, the more we allow the heart to truly guide us, the more our lives become expressions of healing, kindness, creativity, and sacred relationships. In this way, the heart becomes both our compass and our medicine. Continually guiding our awakening journey as divine souls having a spiritual experience in a blessed human body toward deeper expressions of true love. The path of truly living from the heart is what we call the way of love. It's not something new, nor something invented by any single tradition. The way of love has been walked by countless truth seekers across time. It is an emergent, direct path that sincere seekers eventually discover as they move beyond the dogma and cultural static of their era in order to experience truth and divinity directly. The way of love is often found by those whose spirit cannot be fully contained by inherited norms or societal expectations, who have to live from authenticity or spiritually wither. Those who feel an undeniable calling to live in inner alignment and direct relationship with Source. These are the sacred rebels, the ones who question everything deeply and who value inner freedom more than the need to be right, righteous, or accepted by convention. So be forewarned, to live from this place of the heart and walk the way of love, you will have to give up your addiction to being right. You have to choose your love of truth, your desire to live this day in peace, and your willingness to truly forgive yourself and others. It is a day-to-day practice that we're all working with. Yet, through your awakening into Hatun Sonqo, the universal heart within, you will discover a deeper truth of your being that exists beyond the dualities of right and wrong. It is vast and beautiful. It is radiant and forever luminous. Hatun Sonqo means the great heart. In the Andean wisdom traditions, this refers to the vast universal heart that lives within all things. Hatun Sonqo is a guide only second to Iya Teksi Muyu Te Tanchis Wera Kocha Pachikamak. We translate this as the great shining originating mystery, Holy Mother, Father, Creator, and source of all life, the primordial creative intelligence of the living universe. At the deepest level, they are one, for it is through the heart that we connect to and directly experience the truth and love of this divine source origin. Within the medicine powers of creation, the heart gateway represents the center of centers, the place where all directions meet. Hatun Sonqo is the living heart of this creation, which also lives within you. It is the field through which divine love flows into the Teksi Muyu, the universe, the originating mystery. And through which you, me, and all beings remember our true origin and essential nature. The awakened heart, the Hatun Sonqo, allows the invincible light, wisdom, and power of your soul to radiate more fully into the world. When the heart opens, the divine endowments of the soul, love, creativity, discernment, compassion, and inspired intelligence, begin to express themselves naturally. In this way, the way of love becomes the living heart of the perennial wisdom traditions. It is a way of being that transcends religion, ideology, and era. We are not inventing this path. We are remembering it and walking it in the footsteps of the great ones who came before us. And yet the way of love is always new, always alive, always emerging through those who choose to live from the awakened heart. The awakened heart recognizes that the love we feel within ourselves is the very same love that lives within every being, every mountain, all the rivers, the ancestors, and the stars. In listening to the guidance of the heart, we rediscover our place within the sacred family of life and learn once again how to walk gently, courageously, and lovingly upon the earth. It is through living from the heart that we open to true relationship with these beautiful and benevolent spiritual beings and forces within creation. What many seekers eventually discover is it is not the third eye that opens our perception to the living sentience of creation. It is the Hatun Sonqo that has been awakened and sanctified in love. For 99.9% of the initiates on the path of healing and awakening, this is not a process we do once and is completely open forever. This is a practice of continual return, reconnection, and reconciliation. This understanding of the heart is not limited to the physical organ or human emotion. It is the deeper intelligence of love that guides the movement of life itself. The wisdom of the awakened heart becomes one of the greatest guides a human being can know. For it is through the heart that we remain in living relationship with pure source divinity. When you enter into a conscious relationship with Hatun Sonqo, you begin to sense that the heart itself is a compass for walking the way of love and living the medicine every day. The guidance that arises here is quiet but unmistakable. It calls you towards compassion, integrity, courage, and truth. It invites you again and again to choose love over fear and relationship over separation. As this connection and communion to your very own wholeness deepens, the heart begins to guide you back into your original belonging within the great web of life. You remember that you are not separate from the earth that sustains you, the sky that breathes life into you, or the vast field of living intelligence that holds all existence. Living from the heart is remembering you belong to the universe. You are a beloved child of this universe. While the mystics have been shouting this from the rooftops for millennia, the heart and love has still been largely disregarded and diminished by dominant empire culture. Fear-based consciousness can find love to be very threatening, for living from the heart and love is uncontrollable. In navigating our own journeys of being modern mystics and students to this life-giving side of the Force, we have found it incredibly helpful to bridge the new science of the heart and our dedicated practice apprenticing to this love. Here's what we have found. Modern research from the HeartMath Institute has begun to confirm what many spiritual traditions have long known. The heart is not merely a pump, but a powerful center of intelligence and coherence within the human body. When we intentionally cultivate feelings of love, gratitude, or compassion within the heart, measurable changes occur within our nervous system, brain function, and emotional well-being. The rhythms of the heart become more coherent, and this coherence brings balance to the entire body and mind. Including profoundly shifting our inner biochemistry from stress survival states into rest, repair, and renewal. Stress is the #1 toxin, and moving into the heart and love turns this stress response off. This impacts our health on every level, from our neurochemistry and the neuropeptides within our cells to our DNA. Peak moments of love and even sustained moments of gratitude have been shown to turn off hundreds of cellular biomarkers for disease and turn on hundreds of DNA biomarkers of health. It's mind-blowing research. It's simple to practice. The only true challenge is to remember how simple it actually is to transform our bodies and beings through interstate technology. This research mirrors the ancient teachings of the awakened heart. When we consciously bring love to our own hearts, especially during moments of stress and difficulty, we restore harmony within ourselves. This is deeper wisdom from within all healing ceremony, prayer practice, and Aini, sacred reciprocity-based rituals. From a physiological perspective, this shift creates what researchers call heart coherence. The rhythms of the heart become more ordered and harmonious, which sends stabilizing signals through the vagus nerve to the brain and nervous system. As this coherence spreads through the body, stress hormones begin to decrease. The immune system strengthens, and the body shifts from a state of survival into a state of restoration and healing. In this way, bringing loving attention to the heart is not only emotionally uplifting and spiritually meaningful, it is biologically regenerative. The heart communicates with the brain, the endocrine system, and the immune system through powerful electromagnetic and neurological pathways. When the heart is in a coherent state of love, gratitude, and compassion, these signals help regulate inflammation, calm the nervous system, improve emotional resilience, and support the body's natural healing processes. The ancients understood this intuitively. They taught that when a human being returns to the heart, life force begins to flow more freely through the body and the energy field. Modern science is now beginning to describe the same phenomenon through the language of physiology. In both perspectives, the message is the same. When we return to the heart and cultivate love within, we restore balance not only to the mind and spirit, but to the body itself. The Hatun Sonqo is multidimensional. Many wisdom traditions teach that the human being carries multiple dimensions of heart awareness. Exploring these allows us to understand the arc of the initiatory path, or true medicine pathway. It's really about embodying and aligning to love. The first dimension of the Hatun Sonqo is the physical heart. The living biological center whose rhythmic intelligence sustains the body. Biologically, during our earliest development in the womb, the heartbeat begins, and from this first rhythmic pulse, the developing embryo organizes its growth. From the heart's living rhythm, the rest of the body gradually emerges and takes shape. In this way, the heart can be understood as the beginning of embodied life and the continual sustainer of our lives, right now and in every breath and every heartbeat. The second dimension of the Hatun Sonqo is the emotional heart. Through which we experience empathy, compassion, and connection with others. Human beings are profoundly relational creatures. Modern research and the lived experience of communities through history show that love and caring connections are not optimal for our development, they are essential. In places where war or crisis has left large numbers of infants without consistent affection or nurturing contact, researchers have documented what is called failure to thrive. Babies who receive food and physical care but little love and attention often struggle to grow, and some do not survive. From the very beginning of life, the emotional heart requires loving relationships in order for the human being to flourish. Our nervous systems, our sense of safety, and our ability to trust the world are shaped through these early bonds of care. When these attachment needs are wounded, as many people experience in some way, we often carry patterns of trauma, protection, or disconnection that later become part of our healing journey. Learning again to bring compassion and love to our own hearts is therefore not only a spiritual practice, but a profound act of restoration for each and every one of us. The third dimension of the Hatun Sonqo is the soul heart, the inner sanctuary where the deeper presence of the soul communicates its wisdom and guidance. This is the still, quiet voice that lives within each of us. The place of inner knowing that gently guides us towards truth, love, and alignment with Source. At times, this inner wisdom may become obscured by heavy emotions, old pain, conditioning, or the many distractions of modern life. Yet it never truly disappears. In moments of grace, and sometimes through the difficult wake-up calls that life brings, this deeper knowing breaks through again and reminds us of what we already know in our bones. A central part of the healing and awakening journey is learning to listen to the inner guidance more deeply than the outside noise. The voices of authority, cultural expectations, or the conditioning of fear and separation. As we learn to trust and follow the quiet wisdom of the soul heart, it becomes one of the most reliable guides for our healing journey and walking the way of love. With practice and dedication to cleaning up your life from error-based living, you will begin to awaken the cosmic heart, the dimension of awareness that recognizes our belonging within the vast web of life, earth, sky, ancestors, and the unseen worlds. Finally, the fourth dimension is the universal heart, Hatun Sonqo itself, the great field of divine love that permeates all existence. In moments along the spiritual journey, whether brief glimpses or life-altering awakenings, this greater love begins to wake up through us. We suddenly know from the inside that an entire universe of creative beauty and soul-infused wonder is alive right here and right now. In these moments, the gateway of the heart is open and sanctified in love, becoming both a receiver and transmitter of deep relationship with the animate forces of creation. we recognize that our own evolutionary path, while unique, is not separate from the unfolding of life itself. The whales of the oceans, the wild cats of the forest, the ferns and the ancient trees, and every being in existence are participating in their own expression of collaboration and divinity, contributing to the continual expansion and evolution of life. Humanity has, in many ways, forgotten this sacred belonging. But this forgetting is also part of the journey. Through the long process of remembering, we rediscover our place within the living universe and learn once again how to live in conscious relationship with the great web of life. As these dimensions of Hatun Sonqo come into alignment, you begin to live in harmony with the greater intelligence of life. Truly reconnecting with Hatun Sonqo, the universal heart, is the deepest expression of what the ancients often call the great work. It is the sacred task of living in alignment with your own direct relationship to Source, to love, and the living intelligence of creation. In many ways, it is the most radical and the most simple of all the spiritual practices. Choose love in every situation, every day, again and again. It is radical precisely because it is simple. To live this way requires a deep repatterning of our conditioned worldview, where humanity has forgotten its divine origin and inheritance and formed a separate sense of self. And through this remembrance, fulfill our sacred promise to the divine and our sacred service to all of life. Medicine power and shadow expression. The medicine of Hatun Sonqo is the awakening of the heart's natural intelligence. This intelligence is ancient, benevolent, and profoundly wise. It is not something you must create, it is something you remember. Beneath the habits of the mind and the noise of the world, your heart already knows how to live in alignment with life, love, and truth. When aligning with this light seed, you are being invited to soften and return to the sanctuary of your own heart. Beneath the stories of the mind, there's a deeper knowing that recognizes the sacredness of life. This knowing does not shout, it whispers. It is the still, quiet voice within. It is felt as a quiet sense of alignment, a gentle pull towards compassion, integrity, and courage. When you pause and listen, the heart begins to reveal a deeper guidance that is always present. As you bring your awareness to the heart, something subtle yet powerful, begins to change. The body relaxes, the breath deepens, the nervous system settles, compassion begins to arise naturally, first for yourself and then for others. In this softening state, the heart begins to reorganize your perception of the world. You begin to see more clearly the humanity in others, the beauty within life, and the deeper intelligence that is quietly guiding the unfolding of your path. Over time, living from the heart becomes a practice of continual return. Again and again, you notice when fear, judgment, or contraction arise, and you gently return your awareness to the living field of the heart. Each return strengthens your relationship with Hatun Sonqo. Each return restores coherence within the body and clarity within the mind. In this way, the heart becomes a sacred compass. It guides your choices, your relationships, and your service to the world. When the heart leads, wisdom follows. Love becomes the organizing force to your life, and your presence itself begins to carry the medicine of compassion and healing for others. When the heart closes due to pain, fear, or past wounds, we begin to experience life through a lens of separation. When we lose connection with the still, quiet voice of the heart and the natural compassion that arises from it, we can begin to act from fear and creating error. Error is not evil. It is a moment of disconnection from love. It is what occurs when our awareness becomes disconnected from love, harmony, and the deeper wisdom of the soul. The heart of sacred law, which is simply and elegantly described in the Andean cosmology as Aini, is to live a life of honor and to create harmony with all levels of creation within and around us for the thriving of life, love, and spiritual freedom. When our thoughts, words, or actions move outside of that harmony, outside of care, love, and conscious awareness of how we impact life, we enter into error. In these moments, we forget our belonging with the living web of life. Error is most often an action arising from fear and shadow. Shadow refers to the denied or unconscious expression of fear that live within us. When we act from this state, our creative power begins to deviate from love and truth towards harm, distortion, or falsehood. This deviation may begin with very small movements, tiny misalignments to love, subtle shifts out of integrity. But over time, these movements can lead us further from the natural coherence of the heart. Because human beings carry immense creative power from Source, acting from this state of disconnection can generate destructive expressions that have huge impacts in our lives and relationships. Error always has energetic consequences. In Andean wisdom traditions, these deviations create dense energetic residue known as hucha, which accumulates in our bioluminous field called the pokpo. Over time, these dense energies can manifest as imbalance, conflict, or even illness within the body and within our relationships. When error is not acknowledged or remediated, it creates increasing deviation from the natural state of harmony. Error also distorts perception. These distortions are sometimes described as clouds of impurity that cloud consciousness. When these clouds build up, we can begin to mistake error-based living for normal life. From these distortions arises misunderstandings, conflict, dissonance, and unnecessary suffering. Error also ripples outward through the web of relationships. Because life is profoundly interconnected, our actions affect our families, communities, and the wider field of life around us. For this reason, many traditional cultures emphasize living with honor and repairing error quickly, out of love for the well-being of the community and the generations to come. Another quality of error is that it compounds. Small misalignments, if ignored, can accumulate and build momentum over time. What begins as a small deviation can grow into patterns of behavior that consume large amounts of life force energy. In this way, error can slowly create a snowball effect that distances us further from our original alignment with truth and love. Error can also be transmitted. Human beings learn behavior from one another, and unconscious patterns can be passed through families and cultures across generations. Hucha can be contagious, and we can really stress each other out. Recognizing this truth invites a deeper level of responsibility and compassion for our actions, knowing that our choices shape not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us. The challenge is not that error happens, it is that we remain unconscious of it. When we become willing to recognize our misalignments and return to the love of Hatun Sonqo, error becomes one of the greatest teachers on the spiritual path. Through honest awareness, purification, and the restoration of love, we can transform error into wisdom. Hatun Sonqo gently reminds us that the heart can heal when we allow compassion and forgiveness to return, first towards ourselves and then towards others. The heart begins to open once again, restoring coherence within our being and harmony within the great web of life. This practice offers a simple and reliable way to return again and again to heart awareness and the embodiment resonant vibration of love. Its power is in its simplicity and in your sincerity. Practice consistently, it becomes natural. It's epically powerful and so easy. We begin each Lightseed activation with this practice. Over time, with practice, this creates powerful new neural pathways, which establish a new inner baseline of resilience, peace, joy, and sovereignty. Challenges still happen every day, but how you respond changes. Here is the living sequence of this practice. Beauty opens to gratitude. Gratitude awakens to love. Love guides to truth. Beauty opens to gratitude. Gratitude opens to love. Love guides to truth. First, move into a physical space where you can be in your own energy for a few quiet, uninterrupted moments. In our experience, this is much easier in nature, but is possible to practice in any environment. Once in nature, begin by simply noticing beauty. Let your awareness gently rest in witnessing the environment around you. If it is rainy, notice the beauty of the clouds and the puddles. If you are outside, notice the perfectly imperfect leaves, tree branches, water, mountains, forest, desert. Resting your awareness on a single flower will always do. Wherever you are, consciously choose to open and receive the beauty that is already present. As you stay with receiving the beauty through your sensory system, notice how, without effort or striving, the gentle sweetness of gratitude arises naturally within you. Notice the feeling of appreciation of the beauty and elegant design of every life form. Breathe into this gratitude and enjoy this simple, sweet moment. Return to this remembering often. You were born from love, and through love, your soul remembers its way home to the universal heart within. Ayamasaka Napa. We are all one family.